Women Innovators. Interviews with women with big messages and big missions, sharing their stories to inspire you to live your passion and step up to make the world a better place. Here's your host, Tami Patzer.
Hi, this is Tami Patzer, and I'm really excited to introduce today's guest, Pat Evans. Pat is a certified home stager based in Richmond, Virginia. She is the owner of Pat's World Staging and Redesign, where she specializes in home staging and interior decorating. She works with home sellers, real estate agents, and investors to get their home listing or investment property sold in a quick fashion by making sure the properties show at their very best and by getting the most money possible for the listing. She also works with homeowners who are looking for that special design so that they can have their very own space. But you know how they just can't always seem to pull it together? Pat helps with that. Pat is also a member of the Real Estate Staging Association Richmond chapter, where she once served as secretary. Welcome, Pat.
Thank you.
I really enjoy talking with people who have a sense of design, because that isn't one of my fortes in terms of the home space. So tell me more about who you help.
Okay, well, basically what we do, we help home sellers, real estate agents, and investors. And so what we do is to go into homes, and we prep those homes for sale. So when people come through, they get the most bang for their buck. And the way we do that is by staging the property, where we bring in furniture and or accessories.
So can you expand on that? Maybe give three of the biggest things that you can do in home staging that makes a home pop for a buyer?
Sure. We help our clients by making sure that the property present well to the masses of potential buyers that's going to be coming through the home physically, and by looking at the MLS. Multiple listing service pictures, because 9 out of 10 people now, they go online looking at pictures. And whether it's by the website or their phone, we just want to make sure that our clients have a way of presenting their home well. We also know that it's a known fact that stage homes get sold quicker. And so that's one of the benefits of home staging, because, again, they have something that shows well, and it also saves the homeowners money in the long run, because when the home sells, it's less time on the market, which equals less carrying costs, which can be like the mortgage or utilities or taxes or whatever they still may be paying on the property.
Oh, that's really interesting, because so a staged home, can you explain a little bit more about what that really means? You actually bring in furniture and paintings. What do you bring into a home?
Okay, well, we work with two types of listings. We work with occupied listings, and that's a property where individual actually lives in the home. And so when we work with that particular client, we actually go in and we first look at the furniture and the accessories that they have. And we try to work with what they have, because it saves them money overall, but it also gives them pride of knowing that the home show well. A lot of times what ends up happening, if we have a client where the home may need something, we give our suggestions on what they can do, and we can actually go out and shop for them to make sure that the home is going to show in its best possible light. We also work with vacant homes, and with those homes, it's like, as I said, vacant. And so what we do is to actually bring in everything for the homes. Basically, when we work with a vacant property, the main rooms that we stage to show homeowners how they can live in the space would be the main living area, the kitchen, the master bedroom, and the master bath. And so a lot of times those are the areas that agents and home sellers or investors are focusing on. So those are the rooms that we would stage for them. Sometimes we do have our investors who want the complete home stage. And so what we would do in that situation is to bring in everything for a home. So basically it's like if you were to go into a model home, that's basically what home staging is, where you see the pictures, you see the bedding and the chairs, and even down to some of the smallest things like the plates and toothbrushes and so forth.
Oh, wow. So somebody could walk in and imagine themselves living there. Have you ever had where you do home staging and the people actually want to buy everything that's in the home? Has that ever happened?
Yes, we have had that situation where someone basically wants to buy everything in the property. So, that's always a compliment for us, and that goes over to the decorating side of the business as well, because a lot of times when people go into a stage property, they can see how they want to live in the house, and then when they purchase the home, they want that same look and feel for themselves and their families.
That's what I think I would like. So when you talk with people, because I actually have been in the real estate business, and I know that we used to actually go in and take photographs of the home, and sometimes people's houses are, let's just face it, they're cluttered with different things. Do you have any tips about if you're trying to prepare your home for sale that you might maybe give us maybe 3 tips about little simple things you could do that would help someone sell their home?
Well, the 3 tips that I would give someone, first of all, as you indicated to, is declutter the home. A lot of times I often tell people when we live in our homes, that's exactly what we should do, live in the homes. But when it comes time to put your home on the market, we want the homes to show as big and spacious as possible. And that will come down to decluttering the property. We also like to suggest to people is just to remove some of the personal effects that belongs to the family, because what ends up happening, if you have like a lot of family pictures and a lot of portraits of certificates and things like that, people a lot of times will end up concentrating on those things that you have on the wall. So we want to kind of like minimize that and have them envision themselves in the property and their family and how they can live in the space. We want them to actually just know that this is a home that they fall in love with and that it's no longer the seller's home. Another thing that we like to suggest as well is the first and foremost is curb appeal. When somebody is coming to the house, just make sure that the home is inviting. Make sure that we're in wintertime right now, but just make sure that the grass is cut. You don't have leaves all over the place. Make sure that the trees is well manicured and so forth. And so what this does, it gives someone the emotional connection with the property and make them want to come into the home and visit and stay and just look around within the property.
I think that's really good advice, because I know that when you first drive up to a home, if the yard is nice and manicured, then immediately your imagination goes to, oh, it's probably been well maintained. And that's people start to think about, well, how was it maintained and everything like that. So what do you think are some of the big misconceptions about the services you provide?
I think some of the misconception is that a lot of times people feel that they can stage the properties themselves. Now, you do have some people who can do that. They can kind of like detach themselves from the property. But a lot of times what ends up happening, we do have emotional connections with our homes. And so what happens is we think when someone comes into the home, we feel that they will like what we like. For instance, you can have someone that has a red wall, and I may love a red wall, but you get somebody else that comes in there and they can't envision themselves with the red wall or don't even like the color red. And so, just things like that. Again, it's one of those things where we just want people to just disattach from the home and just show potential sellers how they can just come into the space and they can actually live there and give them the benefit of that service.
So do you find that I take it that you work a lot with realtors and real estate professionals who call on you for the services. Do you find that sometimes homeowners are a little reluctant to have their home staged?
I do. And I think the biggest reason is because they may look at the money part that's associated with it. A lot of times with the home owners, they may have already put so much money into preparing the home for sale. And so at that point, they may just feel that, they have done all that they're going to do. And so they may feel that they can just skip on the staging. And actually what ends up happening is when we do the staging for them and just make sure that everything, the placement and the scale of the artwork and furniture is correct, it helps them get a quicker sale. And so a lot of times what ends up happening is if the home is priced correctly, the staging will pay for itself because, again, we go back to less time on the market because they have a property that shows well. And when the property shows well, and priced correctly, they will get that money back at the end.
So have you found that our properties from, obviously we had our big bubble burst back in 2007, 2008. Have you found that in your area properties are moving a lot better now?
I think the properties are moving better, but it's also we have like certain pockets here in the Richmond area that's doing really well. They're older homes that's being renovated, and it's just desirable neighborhoods. So a lot of times, you may have somebody say, okay, well, let's just put the house on the market without staging. Yes, they may get a price acceptance for the property, but with the staging, it's even faster. A lot of times we do work with investors, and the majority of the investors that we work with, they do see the benefits of the staging because what ends up happening is when somebody comes into the home, they can have that emotional connection with the home. And what I often tell my people is that you never get a second chance to make a first impression. And so we want that home to show well the first time around, and that always benefits the person selling the home.
So basically, home staging can literally put thousands of dollars into someone's pocket because of the sales, the speed of the sales transaction that goes up. So, wow, that's pretty phenomenal. I wanted to ask you a little bit more about your decorating part of your business. Can you tell me a little bit more about that and what you specialize? Because I noticed that you call your business Pat's World Staging and Redesign. So can you tell me more about that?
Mm-hmm. The decorating portion of our business is actually that we go in and we decorate homes. And that came about because of the staging, because what was happening is we would stage homes, and when people see the pictures or the homeowners would go into the properties, they will want that look into their own space. And so what we decided to do is, of course, is to offer that redesign portion of the business, because what we would do is to go into homes and we would like to use what individuals have, because a lot of times we find that people, they have things around them that they like, but they just don't know how to pull it all together. And so what we would do is to actually go in and do a redesign of repurposing what they have, and we just enhance by going out and sourcing pieces that they can actually use to make their house a home. One of the things that we like to pride ourselves on is actually when people, if you go to work and you work for 8 to 10 hours or whatever, we want somebody to come home and actually feel that they can just sit back and enjoy themselves in a space that they love to come to.
I'm actually looking at your website because I see that you have a lot of really nice galleries, testimonials, and services. So I highly recommend that everybody go check out patsworldstaging.com. And there's a very interesting question that I was looking at, and I was thinking about the question about I saw that it says that 90% of people cannot envision the potential of an empty or cluttered home. So that basically means that 9 out of 10 people who walk into your house cannot imagine what it would look like with furnishings in it or any different than it is. So if you walk into an empty house with white walls and tile on the floor, for example, and you're in that 90%, can you imagine? You'd be like, oh yeah, it looks like an empty house.
Yes.
So that's really interesting. So how long does it take to stage a house? What is that process? If I wanted you to come in and stage my house or talk to me either about staging or about decorating, what would that process look like between you and I?
Okay, well, basically what happens is we always start with a consultation. And the reason why we do a consultation so we can actually lay eyes on the home and the way the home is shows and position of the rooms and so forth. Because a lot of times, someone may ask, well, can you just look at the pictures that I send you? And our answer is no to that, because when you look at pictures, a lot of times you have no way of knowing how the room may be positioned. So let's just take, for an example, if this is a stage property that we're looking at. When we go and look at the property, we go in and we actually take pictures. And the reason why we take pictures is because I always come back home and I sit in front of my computer and actually sit down and study the property as to what needs to be done if we're going to actually perform the stage ourselves. What I'm talking about right now is the vacant staging, because again, we have like 3 different scopes to the business. So with the vacant stage, again, we go and do the consultation, we walk around, and we take pictures of the property. And that way we can give the seller suggestions on what we're going to do to actually enhance the spaces. Sometimes we have a situation, as I said earlier, the main rooms that we would stage would be the main living area, the master bedroom, and the kitchen area. Sometimes we may suggest another room, because sometimes you have a room that's really small, and we know that that would be a challenge for someone coming through as to what they can actually do with the space. And so once that space is staged, that gives them an idea that they can actually put a bed in a particular room if they have like kids and so forth. Now, if we were doing an occupied staging where someone is actually living in the home, again, we go back to where we do a consultation, and we actually, it's called a walk and talk, where we actually walk and talk with the homeowners just to see how they feel about the spaces. What we try to do is to get them to disconnect as it being their property and to put their buyer eye on and see how a buyer would look at the property when they come through. And so, again, when we do that, we like to use what the client has and just to cut down on the amount of money that someone may have to spend to get their home sold. If it's a decorating service that we're looking to do, we actually go in, we sit down with the home owners, and we discuss what it is that they're looking to do. What colors do they like? What colors do they not like? We also give them suggestions on what they can do to improve upon a space. If they want to do the work themselves or if they want us to do the work, we will first and foremost come up with a budget for them. And at that point, what I would do is to actually go out and source the materials and then come back and just give them the home of their dreams.
Wow. That's really interesting. There's so many little details included in all of this. And obviously the process of designing a living space is, now I know why I avoid it because of all the little details. And it sounds like it can be extremely overwhelming if it's not something that is your forte. So would you say how much time would this involve if you were to come and we did our walk and talk and let's say I say, yes, let's do this, about how much time would it take to get a house staged?
For a walk and talk, basically it's 2 hours. And the reason why it's 2 hours because we basically walk through the house and we're going to go through each room of the house. Even if the person decides to do the work themselves, we still want to give them a list of things that they can do to improve upon the space. If we were coming in to perform the staging, it depends on whether it's an occupied property or vacant. But staging can last anywhere from 4 to 8 hours. And that's just depending on the size of the home and the rooms and so forth. Wow.
So basically it just takes some time to get everything. I noticed that you also have a cost home staging calculator. Can you explain a little bit more about that? I know you talked about the fact that the longer your house is on the market, the more money is being eaten up every single day out of money that you could actually get. How does this calculator work?
Well, the way the calculator works is it gives people an idea how much money that they can save by staging a property. And so what will happen is they will put in their monthly mortgage amount. They will put in any carrying costs they may have. If the house is already like on the market or whatever, they can also put that in and how many reductions and so forth that they have had and a staging fee. And what ends up happening is they can get a calculation as to how much money they have wasted by not staging the property and how much money they could have saved if they had staged first.
Wow.
And yeah, a lot of times, we see people who may do like 1, 2, 3 price reductions. And I often tell people, they want to know how much the staging is. And our answer to them is that it's cheaper than the first price reduction. Because a lot of times when they have to take those price reductions, they're losing money all the way around because they're eating away at the equity that they may have in the home. And so we just go in and just to try to keep that from happening as much as we can. And we hope that they will contact the home stager first because it will just help them in the long run. Because, again, once those buyers come in and they take a look, a lot of times they just don't get those buyers back. And if you do get a buyer that comes back, it's because they are just waiting for you to take the lowest possible price there is, and we just don't want that to happen for the clients.
That's really good advice because, again, there are many people who are maybe they're interested in selling their home. Maybe it's been on the market a while, and I have seen those price reductions, and some of those price reductions can be in the multiple thousands of dollars. And just think, and especially if a seller, at some point they may start to get desperate, and then the realtor will start reducing, and sometimes they have it set almost on an automatic schedule to start reducing the price if they're trying to get it sold. So like you said, get the consultation, and then at least you'll have all those numbers in place and be able to determine, what is it worth it to you to get this property sold sooner than later? Because I saw on your calculator that the Staging Association says that the average house is on the market something like 8 months. So think about that. If you could cut that amount of time, even by 1 month, that's a significant savings in all of your mortgage and your other carrying costs. So that's really, I think, very interesting. And that's right from your website. You can access this staging calculator. That's really cool, Pat. So, Pat, is there anything else that I should have asked you but didn't that is important?
I think the main thing that I would want people to understand when they work with a stager is that we want them to get the best possible price for their home. When it comes to selling a home, it's just an emotional time for different reasons. It could be like happy reasons that you're selling the home. It can be something as sad. And so we just want to help make that transition as easy as possible. And again, to just for the person to come out of the deal with as most money in their pocket as they can, so they can just move on to the next chapter of their lives.
And that's really good advice. And you're also at Houzz, Houzz. I find that a lot of people like to go to Houzz because they have all the pretty pictures and before and afters and everything. Where else can we find out more about you and your services?
You can visit my website at www.worldstaging.com. And once you visit my website, in the upper right-hand corner, you will see the different places that we're associated with. So such as instant, when you go to the website, you will see the Houzz button. We're going to also have links to Instagram, Facebook, of course, Google+, Twitter. We also have a Pinterest site that we just so love. So you can click on that Pinterest icon and go out there and get yourself plenty of ideas. We're also on LinkedIn, so you can find us at all those sources. And we also have a Contact Us button where if you need a service or you have any questions, you can contact us there. You can also reach out to us by way of phone, and our number is 804 area code 495-1433.
Wow. And yes, I've actually been popping through all of those websites, and oh my goodness, you have some beautiful before and afters and a lot of really good home staging suggestions. So go check out patsworldstaging.com. Pat, thank you so much for sharing with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
This is Tami Patzer. Go make it a beautiful day.
You've been listening to Women Innovators with Tami Patzer. To learn more, please go to womeninnovatorsradio.com. And please do subscribe and share to spread the big messages and big missions to change the world.